The Damodar bus was Prabhupada's long-cherished dream. And because the vehicle that we had just repaired was in such first-class shape, we were informed that our bus would be used to take Srila Prabhupada, and that I would be the driver, and Mahamuni would be the servant, and Sunanda would be the cook. Now, Prabhu, I was an expert bus driver, expert. I could pull that bus into any spot, eyes closed. Somehow or other, when Prabhupada and all these sannyasis and senior devotees got on the bus, I was like terrified. I was like really hyperly nervous, you know? So we go out of the Lincoln Tunnel. Now, you know, it's a huge curb. And the curb itself, it has a really high cement curb. And somehow or other, the wheel itself, it gets stuck on the curb. I can't turn it to get it off. So the curb is guiding the whole bus. And sparks are flying out. Nobody, no one knows but me, right? And I'm just praying. I said, Krishna, why are you doing this to me now? I'm going to kill my guru, sannyasis, the deities. We're all going to go tumble. I said, kill me anytime, any way you want. Please don't. Prove I have never, ever, ever experienced fear, anxiety, suffering like that. So I was just praying, trying to hold the bus so that the wheel would veer off to the left. And just finally, after about 2 minutes of that, just intense, you know, 2 minutes was like an eternity, a few eternities. So finally the bus pulls away. Definitely some of my life force was dropped on that curb coming out of Lincoln Tunnel.
Srila Prabhupada had been standing looking at the wonderful fields. The devotees were gathered around. There were two fellows who were new devotees, very enthusiastic. They were country boys from not too far away. And they had brought from their own garden a medium-sized basket full of vegetables. And Srila Prabhupada picked up an eggplant out of the basket, and he just held it in his hand as though it were a jewel of some sort. And he held it kind of up and just looked at it. It had a real value, this produce. You can just tell his pleasure was immense. So at some point he spoke about how we should be able to feed the neighboring city temples, supply them with very luscious kinds of fresh foods like this. But not only that, but in time of need, we should be prepared to also produce an abundance sufficient to feed people living in a 10-mile radius.
Prabhupada took a walking tour of the barn and the machine area, and Paramananda was a little bit apologetic because Prabhupada had been to New Talavan a few months ago and chastised them for having farm equipment. But actually they had farm equipment and was standing outside in the weather getting rusty. And at Gita Nagari we had a lot of farm equipment, but everything was very well protected. But Paramananda was very much self-conscious. So as he was showing Prabhupada the different equipment, he was saying, and this is a disc and it'll do the work of so many men, and this is a plow and it'll do the work of so many men. And Prabhupada was very silent. But when Prabhupada gave his class later on that evening, he said, it's not that we hate machinery, everything can be used in Krishna's service. He also very much caught our mood that we didn't want to be in the cities. And so when Prabhupada noted that, he commented in his class, it's not that we hate the towns and villages, everything belongs to Krishna. So he saw our mentality, and he cut through it very